Speaking of Scooby-Doo, Matthew Lillard's in this too. So, Barkskins on the National Geographic Channel. It's a new scripted original series, and it's based on a novel by the Pulitzer-winning author Annie Proulx. So before I get into my thoughts on this series, which just aired the first 2 episodes last night, I'd hope you would consider subscribing to this channel. I'm going to be doing lots of reviews this week and in upcoming weeks, including for the new HBO Max series, Love Life, and for the new Netflix comedy series, Space Force, which is going to star Steve Carell, and that's coming out Friday. So I'm going to be reviewing those and hopefully getting my reviews out the morning after they air. So getting into my thoughts on the first 2 episodes of Barkskins, which are titled New France and the Turtle King. So these 2 episodes were directed by David Slade. He's the director of Twilight Eclipse and Hard Candy. This show is created by Elwood Reed. He's a writer who has written episodes for The Chi, and he was also the creator of The Bridge on FX. And the setting for this, it's in the late 1600s, and it's in New France. And the title, Barkskins, it refers to these indentured servants who've been transported over from Paris to the New World, and they're supposed to be woodcutters, and they work for local land barons for a number of years, and then they earn their freedom. And the story follows Charles Duquet and Renee Selle as they seek to make their fortunes in this new land. And the novel, from what I can tell, I've started it. I haven't gotten too far. I'm much farther in the series now than I am in the novel, but I hope to catch up and hopefully be ahead of the next week's episode when it airs. The novel focuses on human struggles with nature. I think that the show seems like it's a lot more focused on human power struggles, but Proulx, the author of the novel, says it's about the forest, which is the underpinning of life. Everything is linked to the forest. And I think that thoughtful adaptations of books tend to do very well on television, because I think oftentimes when writers of a TV series start out without the broader outline of where their story is going to go, things go afoul very quickly. And this is only taking portions of the book, because the book actually follows these 2 characters' descendants, and this story is just going to focus on the New France aspects and the colonialization. And it's about, the conflicts between the English and the French and the Iroquois and all these different trading companies. And I think that there's too many plot lines to easily summarize, but I will say that when you're watching them all in the show, I think it all makes sense. I think the show sets them up clearly and concisely, and it really establishes an atmosphere of the new world that they're exploring, an atmosphere of wonder and of danger. You can feel the sense that lurking behind every rock and every tree, there could be a creature waiting to rush out and snatch you or do bodily harm to you. And I think that this series is ultimately going to focus on the importance of blood and family, as Monsieur Claude Trepagny, played by David Thewlis, says. And the main... there's not really a main character. I would tend to say if there was one, it would be Renee Selle, played by Christian Cooke. And I'd say that he's the main character because he's the one who, more than any other character, provides a window for the viewer into this unfamiliar territory, because he's learning the ropes and he's just come over from France, and he's kind of offering the viewer this kind of, oh, well, this is what it would be like if you'd never been in this world, and we've never been in this world either. There's a sprawling cast here. It includes Academy Award winner Marcia Gay Harden, Ron McClarnon from Fargo, Aneurin Barnard from Dunkirk, among others. And it's, filled with haunting and horrific imagery, but it's a very realistic story so far. I think that very little has intruded on the sense of realism. And I think that the atmosphere coupled with the the sprawling story and the excellent cast and just the overall epic sweep of this story could make it a breakout hit for this channel. I think if there were a few flaws that I could point to, I feel like there's been a lack of strong female characters so far. It's not that there aren't any female characters, it's just that even Marcia Gay Harden, I feel like, is relegated to a very, very peripheral role compared to the male characters so far. And I kind of like to see a balanced cast. I feel like male characters and female characters working together or against each other makes a story more interesting. I also feel like there's some potential pacing issues so far. The story is slightly scattered. I think, like I said, it's hard to really summarize because there's just so many things going on. And it's really hard to tell who the main characters are and what you should be focused on. There's also just too many undifferentiated bearded men with unexplained backstories vying with each other for control. And I feel pretty confident the story will fill in these gaps in the character development as it moves along. But so far, it's been a little bit unclear who wants what, why they want what the motivations are. And as I said, like the backstories, it's unclear who these people really are. So it would be more interesting to see how this new world changes these characters if we knew who they were to start with. And hopefully this series as it goes on gives us a better idea of that. But so far, I think that the most interesting character is the character played by Aneurin Barnard. And I think that he and his partner in this investigation, they're searching for this missing person from their trading company. And he's investigating it with Zahn McClarnon from Fargo. And the relationship between these two characters seems like it's going to be potentially one of the most interesting aspects of this series. And I really just appreciate the intriguing way that Aneurin portrays the character, because I feel like this character, we don't know a lot about him. He doesn't dress like the typical investigative person, but there's just this steely-eyed intelligence to him that really speaks volumes. There was a scene in the second episode where just the way he closed a book when he sensed danger approaching, that just really spoke volumes. I also appreciate the way that this series is portraying the Native American tribes. It's not making them perfect. It's not going into the noble savage stereotype. And I wouldn't say it was getting overly political so far, but I feel like it's doing a good job as showing them as intelligent people and human people. And there's one key scene in the second episode where a character makes an assumption about some Native Americans that he's encountered, and the way that he eventually has that assumption corrected, I thought was done very well. So for me, I think this is a good series, and I highly recommend you check it out. I think it will be worth your time, and I'm going to be reviewing this on a weekly basis. So if you're interested in seeing more reviews of episodes as they come out, this time with spoilers, this was a non-spoiler review, then I highly recommend you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a thing. So that's my review of the first 2 episodes of Barkskins.